in southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Emily Bennett. New tonight, we now have funeral arrangements for Corey Godsey, the 13-year-old boy who was killed in an animal attack in Knott County Tuesday night. The funeral will be on Sunday at 1 p.m. at the Hyman Funeral Services. Now, family and friends are raising money to pay for the funeral. A GoFundMe page has raised nearly $8,000 for the family. Kentucky State Police are still investigating the incident. It is not known what animal killed Godsey.
Well, we saw a little bit of snow today, and those cold temperatures, well, they're going to move in as we head into tonight. We're still seeing some snow sticking along US 119 over into Pine Mountain. The roads look okay, but could be a little bit slick, so just be careful if you are headed out tonight. Looking into downtown Whitesburg, still hanging on to a few clouds, but temperatures, those will continue to drop into about those lower 30s, while some spots, though, have already dropped into the 20s. You're seeing those lower 20s from Ashland, Morehead, Lexington, upper 20s in Prestonsburg and Jackson, and still, of course, those lower 30s down into the Cumberland Valley, and feeling cooler for some of us. Already feeling like the teens up into Morehead, even down into London, and even over into Pikeville. Most of us will drop into about those mid to upper teens tonight. Clouds will continue to clear, which means more sunshine's in store for your Friday. We'll talk about that Friday and weekend forecast coming up in just a little bit.
Thank you, Paige. Now, crews spent their days salting roads today in Harlan as snow steadily came down. Crews with the Harlan County Road Department salted roadways as snow started to come down this morning. They say they wanted to get out as early as possible because salt works best when the temperatures are between 20 and 30 degrees. This way, they could get ahead of the bulk of the snow when temperatures drop into the teens.
So that way tomorrow, if it does come tonight, tomorrow we have a step ahead of it with getting it removed from the roadways.
To keep an eye on the snowfall, download our WYMT weather app in the App Store. Now, Prestonsburg officials are working to find a solution to an ongoing problem with one of the city's most beloved attractions. Archer Park is no stranger to floodwaters, and crews are working to clean the park again for the second time in less than 2 months. One of the buildings on site has been damaged beyond repair, and Mayor Les Stapleton says all the flooding has had a negative effect on tourism. He says something has to be done to move the city forward.
42,000 cars with 2 to 3, 5, 6, 8 people in these cars to see our Christmas lights. And, you know, we had to shut down twice this year, 4 times last year. And we had to take them down, let the water come up, recede, clean, and then put them back up. So we're just trying to find some relief.
Stapleton says he hopes to bring state and local leaders to the table to move forward with plans to reroute the water flow that cuts through the park. Now, First Presbyterian Church in Hazard built a blessing box to help those in the community. WYMT's Dakota Makris talked with church leaders about this new community outreach.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea.
A 3-letter word spreading blessings throughout the community, all inspired by the season of Advent.
During the sermon, passed out a sheet that encouraged people to give food and personal items as part of Advent.
The idea coming from church members at First Presbyterian Church.
They suggested that we bless people by just simply putting a box on the corner of the church.
Getting the green light from the church, Lawrence Monroe got to work.
I like to build things and looked online for some plans and had the materials and built it.
For visiting Pastor Tammy Schmidt, it is all about the blessing.
Bless those who need just something to get through the night, or even things like hygiene.
Wanting to make sure help is just around the corner.
What better way to help members of our community than putting a blessing box in a space where we meet some of the people who need it the most.
Reverend Schmidt hopes the outreach extends not just to the church, but throughout Hazard.
We also want to encourage members of the community to come and give a little from their pantry.
Hoping this 8-letter word lives up to its meaning. In Hazard, Dakota Makris, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, the church is asking for community members to donate personal items and non-perishable canned foods with pull-top lids. Now, it's a project on the minds of people for nearly 10 to 15 years. Plans for the Perry County Fallen Officer Memorial is underway. Through research by Chief Minor Allen, 23 police officers have died in the line of duty in the last 120 years in Perry County.
I didn't realize the depth of how many officers that we've had that's been killed in the line of duty until I started researching it a little bit.
Now, the memorial will be outside the Hazard Police Station. Allen is looking for donations to finish out the project that he hopes to have complete by summer. Now, no school across eastern Kentucky seems to be the trend. In Knott County, schools have been closed for the past 3 days and will be closed again tomorrow. All classrooms are being sanitized, as well as school buses. Kim King, Knott County Superintendent, says this precaution is to give the students time to get better and ease the minds of the parents.
Keep them home to get better because they don't want them to miss school. And I don't want to have to call off school for flu or weather or anything else. But at this time, we didn't have another option. I didn't feel like to get rid of this.
King says the plan is to resume school on Monday. Now, Morehead State University welcomed a very special guest to campus today. NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine spoke with students, staff, and local officials as part of the W. Terry McBrayer Presidential Lecture Series. He touted MSU Space Science Center as being one of only a handful of facilities of its kind in the nation. Bridenstine says Morehead State's success in manufacturing and sending nanosatellites into orbit is having a positive impact on America's space program.
Morehead is doing something that is very unique. They are in fact building satellites that NASA is going to use at the moon to make discoveries so that we can do more and better science than ever before. What I love about what Morehead State University is doing is that they're doing it in a way that is going to keep on schedule and on budget. And even better, it's including students, undergraduate students, in a way that's very meaningful.
Bridenstine was appointed by President Trump and confirmed by the Senate to serve as NASA's 13th administrator in 2018. A man in Leslie County had his side-by-side stolen Sunday while he slept and his family was at church. This is what that side-by-side looks like. It says Daniels on the windshield. The owner is Billy Adams, a preacher in the area. He says he is still making payments on the side-by-side, but he says what is most disappointing to him is when it happened.
You know, that's our day of worship. That's our day with our families and our friends and worshiping God in the house of God. And for something to be taken on a day that we worship the Lord and an act of crime, it's just, I'm still in awe. I'm still in confusion, and I don't really understand why.
There is a $1,000 reward offered for the return of the side-by-side. Anyone with information is asked to call the Leslie County Sheriff's Office. Now, street signs in parts of Martin County are being stolen, and city leaders in Inez are fed up with it. City leaders worry the thefts will cause confusion for first responders, leading to possible life or death situations. Magistrate Derek Stepp says it could even be the thieves' own homes and urges them not to risk it. City leaders also point out the cost of replacing signs is something that is typically not included in their budget. And it was a scary situation for a homeowner in Wayne County yesterday after a burglar showed up not once but twice. Deputies with the Wayne County Sheriff's Office say this man, Boyd Davis, broke into a home off of Aaron's Way. The homeowner chased Davis out of his house with a baseball bat. Then the situation turned ugly. Deputies say Davis returned with a shotgun. Davis is accused of pointing the gun at the homeowner through a window and threatening to kill him. A deputy discovered the shotgun in the passenger seat of Davis's car. Davis is facing charges of first-degree criminal trespassing and first-degree wanton endangerment. Now, a medical marijuana bill has taken another step forward. Kentucky House lawmakers voted 65-30 in favor of the bill. That comes after hours of debate on the House floor. Now, this is the furthest a medical marijuana bill has made it in Frankfort, but this proposal comes with a list of restrictions if it's passed. Olivia Russell is in Frankfort with a look at the debate.
The vote to pass House Bill 136 came after more than 2 hours of testimony on the floor.
House Bill 136
18 amendments were proposed to the medical marijuana bill. Some tightened language, others proposed more restrictions. A couple of those restrictions include no smoking and no public use. Lead sponsor Representative Jason Nemes called it the tightest medical marijuana bill in the country and based on many years of research.
We worked on this bill a long time. We've met with stakeholders from law enforcement, stakeholders, constituents, regular folks, patients, physicians, chiropractors, I mean, you name it, we've been there.
The bill passed with a vote of 65 to 30, meaning nearly 1/3 of representatives present were opposed to this bill. Those lawmakers made their opinions heard. Some argue the potential for criminal abuse. Representative Stan Lee says he believes this bill will be a gateway to legalizing recreational marijuana.
And there's not a person in here right now that's looking at me that doesn't know that that's coming. It's going to come. I hope it doesn't, but you know it's going to come.
But despite the opposition, the bill will now go to the Senate, where more lengthy discussions could happen.
And it's time to go over there and start making the case stronger than we've made it before.
Olivia Russell, WYMT Mountain News. Now, there are 19 states, including Kentucky, where marijuana, either medicinal or recreational, is illegal. Illinois is the closest state that already allows recreational marijuana. Now, a bill that would require a photo ID to vote has passed a House committee. Senate Bill 2 has already passed in the Senate and only needs the House's approval before going to Governor Beshear. Secretary of State Michael Adams is pushing for the bill, saying he wants to restore confidence in the voting process. If passed, voters would have to show a photo ID to vote. But if you don't have an ID, voters can sign an affidavit swearing they are who they say they are. Now, coming up at 11, Mike Bloomberg is fighting back after a rough outing in last night's Democratic debate.
And temperatures will be very chilly tonight, so when will we see a warm up? I'll have that answer coming up.